This is Defenders TV Podcast, episode 69, looking at Daredevil, season 2, the final episode, episode 13, A Cold Day in Hell's Kitchen. Welcome back, Defenders, to this episode of Defenders TV Podcast, where we're looking at the final episode of Season 2 of Daredevil, A Cold Day in Hell's Kitchen. I am one of your hosts, John.
I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
And rounding out, I'm Chris.
All in the same room, boys.
I know, back together, the three amigos.
It's like the original days. Before we had internet, we were like holding in it was half the size of this room.
Yeah, yes, it was. No editing for me this week because we are live on YouTube and live on Google Hangouts. If you want to come over and join us and send us any thoughts and any feedback, you are more than welcome. Great to have everybody in the same room.
Yeah, absolutely. Once. And, of course, for the final episode.
Yeah.
Really, topping out season 2 of Daredevil. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go too much into it because obviously I've got to do my out of 5 at the end and my defend. Mm-hmm. So what will it be? I wonder.
Absolutely. We decided that we'd do a big kind of splash for our final episode of Daredevil. With the way we've been podcasting our episodes for the Netflix series, was we started with Jessica Jones when it was released back in November. We started about 3 podcasts that first day, and then we've been basically doing podcast after podcast right up until now. Now we've run out of Marvel shows to cover, other than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. so
Don't ask about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
We may talk about that later. But
you're too much of a fan, obviously.
True. Exactly. But we've basically done 40 podcasts on the Defenders TV podcast, plus 20 podcasts over on our sister podcast, Gotham TV podcast. So we've done 60 podcasts since November of last year. So we thought we'd go out with a bang.
And put our tired, worn faces onto YouTube.
I swear, usually we look better.
I used to be younger, much younger.
It's like 11 a.m. on a Saturday morning. It's just, this is a special morning.
Absolutely.
The sun is shining and we are podcasting.
Yeah.
Inside again.
We're the ultimate nerds. This is the best part.
Exactly.
I don't like the sun. It's a big strange orb up there. Like,
that's why we close the curtains and get us into a small room. But yeah, great to have the listeners with us for this episode, and obviously some viewers will hopefully be joining us throughout this podcast. This will be just like our normal podcasts where we talk about all of the spoilers of episode 13 of Daredevil. So if you haven't watched that episode of Daredevil, come back later. This podcast will be available on our normal feed, and will be available on YouTube straight after this episode is finished recording. And then we'll have the audio up later on in the week. Just join us for that. If you're an iTunes subscriber, subscribe through defenderstvpodcast.com/iTunes. You can subscribe to the iTunes link there. If you're not an Apple fan, you can subscribe to us in any other good podcast catcher just by searching Defenders TV Podcast.
Absolutely. And of course, there is the Facebook groups, facebook.com/groups/Defenders TV Podcast. And of course, on Twitter, we are at Defenders Cast.
Yes. And if you want to send us any feedback while we're off, we will probably talk about it towards the end of the episode, what we're going to be doing while we're off on our little hiatus.
Sleeping.
Yeah, pretty much. I'll stop editing. It's awesome. If you want to send us any feedback.
Holidays.
Yes. You can email us at feedback at Gotham TV. No, not Gotham TV Podcast.
It's not Gotham.
I knew I get that wrong live. You can email us at feedback@defenderstvpodcast.com. Or as John mentioned, you can join us on the Facebook group, and we will still be on Twitter all the time. Follow us at DefendersCast.
And of course, it won't stop there because we will, of course, be back in September for Luke Cage, which is the next show to on Netflix.
Yes, September 30th. Really looking forward to that one too. Little teaser at the end of this episode, wasn't there, for Luke Cage? That was quite cool.
He hates having to buy new clothes.
That's right. That's right. But pretty cool. I think it's time to get into the episode, guys. What do you think?
We could wait around.
I think we should fire away.
Anything else we want to get out of the way before we start up?
No, I think that's it. Let's get started on this final episode of Defenders.
Good stuff. Right, so this episode, A Cold Day in Hell's Kitchen, was written by Douglas Petrie and Marco Ramirez, the season 2 showrunners. So they've written quite a few episodes, and great to have them doing this final episode. Peter Hoare was the director. He's directed 3 episodes of this season, probably the main director for this season. Actually, he's done quite a few. So again, having the full team together to kind of close out the series, you can tell there was a lot to cover in this episode. So John, do you want to tell us what they gave us?
Yeah, the old synopsis, yeah. The Hand make their move across Hell's Kitchen to control the Black Sky, Elektra Natros, and also neutralize their greatest threat, Daredevil. They target the people saved by Daredevil, including Karen Page, to draw them out. As Murdoch and Natros learn of the plan, they make a pact to stay together after defeating the Hand, with Murdoch agreeing to leave New York with Elektra. But as they free the hostages, the trap for Daredevil is exposed. Nobu arrives to lead the rooftop battle for possession of the Black Sky. But it ends in sacrifice as Elektra is killed protecting Daredevil and the man inside. An enraged Daredevil, with unexpected help from the Punisher, takes on the remaining ninjas and Nobu, throwing Nobu from the roof, where he is topped off by Stick. As Natchez is mourned and laid to rest by Murdoch and Stick, more changes take place in New York. Nelson accepts the offer from Hogarth's firm. Frank Castle takes a CD-labeled micro from his family home to begin his journey as the Punisher, and Karen is also confronted with an unexpected truth as Matt Murdock reveals his secret identity. Elsewhere in New York, a new beginning unfolds as the Hand recovers Elektra's body so she may fulfill her destiny. Dun, dun, dun. What's season 3 going to be about?
I know. There's a lot going on in this episode, and a lot of setup for season 3, actually, in here, I think.
A lot.
Which we still don't even know if we're getting season 3.
That's true. This could all be set up for the Defenders. You know?
It could be. It's certainly a mini setup for the Punisher standalone series with a little CD.
I know. We'll definitely be talking about that. So if this is your first time joining us, I'll say it for the last time on Defenders TV podcast.
No, for now.
For a while. The way we cover our episodes is we take 5 points each about the episode. Some good, some bad, some kind of in between. May have a bit of crossover, but by talking through all 5 of those points between us, we'll hopefully cover everything we want to talk about the episode. So I think for the final episode, John, do you want to kick us off with your first point?
I will. It's Jerry Hogarth. I was really pleased that she made an appearance and that it linked in with Foggy Nelson. I mean, the great thing about these series is that they do have these crossovers of different characters, Claire Temple being the biggest, but also we've had Reyes, the DA, appearing in Jessica Jones, and now we get Jerry Hogarth from Jessica Jones. And the great thing about that as well now is we know she's in Iron Fist as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, is there possibilities for Foggy Nelson to show up, maybe briefly, in Iron Fist, which would be really, really cool, I think. But even cooler could be that he has his name tacked onto the end of Hogarth's firm, which was cool.
That's really good.
She obviously gave him a good offer.
Yeah.
The money is pretty sexy, I suppose, if money is sexy.
Money's
and yeah, really cool. I was just pleased she showed up, and I liked how it tied off as well Foggy Nelson's story, I suppose, from really kind of showing his mettle as a lawyer in the Punisher case, being let down by Matt. I thought it was a nice little round out for Foggy's arc in this season as well.
Have they confirmed Jerry or for Luke Cage?
They haven't, but they only confirmed her for Iron Fist this week. They confirmed that she's definitely going to be involved. That's because
she's filming at the moment. And they're probably going to get seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
You reveal it so that everybody knows. Yeah,
but no, if you think, then the only connection with Luke Cage at the moment is going to be potentially Jessica coming through. Maybe.
Yeah.
But more Claire Temple.
Claire Temple, definitely. Yeah.
Every other one usually has 2.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe. It's entirely possible. I do believe that the lawyer that was in Wilson Fisk's lawyer, I think he's been confirmed to appear on Luke Cage. So,
but yeah, he's one of the arch enemies. Yeah. Unless he gets superpowers.
So there will be that connection at least.
Okay.
So that's another small one. But that's one of the cool things about these shows when when characters appear, it's quite cool. We were very, very lucky in the fact that we didn't get it spoiled that Kingpin was going to appear in the show.
Yeah, that was a cool reveal.
We were guessing that the offer was coming from Hogarth's firm for Eldon Henson, Foggy Nelson, obviously. We were guessing that the offer was going to come from Hogarth's firm. I wasn't expecting that we would actually see Carrie-Anne Moss appear in the show.
No.
At all.
I didn't think so. And I mean, we've been talking about like mini setups here, like the Punisher, but even say with, what happens to Elektra at the end, is that something that might tie into the mysticism that surrounds Iron Fist's character? I mean, will the Hand play a role in the Iron Fist, along with Madame Gao? I mean, there's loads of possibilities. I'm presumably not all of them obviously are going to maybe cross over and intertwine with all of them, but there's so many possibilities out there that they can at least sort of explore in the writer's room, which is quite cool for them to do, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. One final point about that actual scene with Jerry Hogarth and Foggy Nelson. I have to say, I thought Eldon Henson really felt like he was, himself was really finding it difficult to play across from Carrie-Anne Moss. I don't know, it seemed like he was almost a little bit starstruck by being across from her. Works really well for the character of Foggy because he's such in such a small firm and is being hired by a big firm. But he just seemed like he was completely taken aback by all the lines she said. He just felt, it looked really uncomfortable in the scene.
But it worked. Yeah. I mean, I didn't kind of notice that. Maybe she would have gone all Matrix on his ass. That would have been quite cool.
That would have been awesome, yeah. Chris, do you want to take us on with your next point?
Well, yeah, that was actually pretty much one of my points as well. Sorry. What did you say?
I beat you again.
I had to. It was satisfying to see her, to that connection. Additionally, from the name drops as well that we've had throughout the season. For me, see, what I'm hoping is that although they haven't confirmed Jessica Jones season 2, have they?
Yeah, that's been confirmed. That's filming.
Yeah.
In fact, I think. Yeah.
So this is the thing. I'm trying to get this set up in my head.
I know.
So,
are you still jet lagged?
Yeah, slightly. We've got Luke Cage, September. Most likely Iron Fist
is next up. Yeah.
Is next up after that. So March.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably the Daredevil slot from the head this year. Then that's the thing. So I'm trying to go. We discussed this briefly before. And this is the one thing
I think it's Jessica Jones and then Defenders. I think they're kind of now not putting off Defenders anymore. So regardless of how many other shows are being announced, I think they're not putting it off. But Punisher's also been announced. Yeah. So I don't know when that's happening.
This finale set up season 3, pretty much.
Yeah.
So then, this is the bit that I'm like, I love all these crossovers. I really do, but I'm like, it's like, when you're watching the trailers in a movie, it's like, get on with it! It's like, it's trailer number 5, and then it's like, oh no, we'll show you another ad, and then trailer number 6, and like,
how is it all gonna work? It's like, it's mind-boggling.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah. We could be podcasting, like, solidly for a year.
Done 40 episodes.
The big bang.
It would be fun.
I love it. It's just for me at the moment, the potential issue I'm having is I've yet to see the full connection between the universe as a whole.
Yeah.
So it's okay. We get Hell's Kitchen. That's it's all going to be centered around there. Jessica Jones is a noir with elements of superheroism. Luke Cage will be a gangsta type kind of show with vigilanteism and kind of superheroism pulled in.
It feels like he's definitely going to take on mobsters, drug dealers, that kind of stuff in Harlem. Yeah.
While he's kind of with his unbreakable abs. But then you have Daredevil
or
now,
unshootable abs.
Yeah. But then you have Daredevil now with, he's kind of leaning towards the kind of the element of mysticism.
Yes.
But we're pretty much sure that the Born Again kind of storyline will probably be season 3, which is not mystical at all. And then
it's possible they could do half. They could do half the season as Born Again.
So arc 1 and arc 2. Punisher's just going to be straight out violence. And then Iron Fist is going to be mysticism and the Kunlun and all that. where what
Drugs. It all connects with drugs.
well, it's the still serpents.
Psychedelic, psychotropic drugs.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Whether it's that you have to take them to understand
Yes,
it,
okay.
or whether it's the main plot line,
Yeah.
it's all
Maybe.
about drugs,
Maybe.
I think.
Yeah. But I think the one thing that Daredevil did get to set up this season is obviously Iron Fist, because Iron Fist is going to be very mysticism led, or very kind of the mystical side.
Well, we think.
So
I mean, that's what we think, but
we don't know.
who knows?
Yeah, that's the bit I'm just missing. I don't know what. I suppose I really soon I need that one connecting thread that will go through it all.
I think we have to wait until Luke Cage, and we have.
Well, I suppose I know where you're going with the drugs, which is saying like, okay, it's the Steel Serpent logo on the cocaine, or was it cocaine?
Heroin, I think.
Heroin? Yeah. That is connected. But that's not the connecting the story.
Yes.
No, that presumably is all going to come in the Defenders.
Yeah, but
I think we have to see the other two Defenders first. The other two we haven't seen yet, which is Luke Cage as a series and Iron Fist as a series. Once we see that, I think we'll get a much bigger picture for the Netflix universe, I think.
And I think it potentially is the mysticism. It's the big bad. It's whatever the big hole that the Hand was digging. You've got these elements where other world, and that's what the Defenders always have been about. It's actually this secret defense force of different powers outside of the normal control of, say, the Avengers. So I think the big bad is going to be something that is spiritual, that kind of thing. It has to be something that they have to band together to fight, because on their own, being street level heroes, I suppose, they aren't able to deal with it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, and we can continue on a second. We never did get an answer on the hole.
No, we didn't.
No.
No.
They just left that hanging.
Yep.
God damn it.
Unless I don't know. I actually don't know. I was going to say, is that where the urn was buried and they dug it out? But we got absolutely no answer of what was actually at the bottom of that hole.
Except for a big hand coming out of it.
Exactly. You won't let that go, will you?
No. For any of our listeners, and you go back a couple of episodes, like 2 or 3, you'll talk about my whole theory about this is a massive hand controlled by the Hand that comes out of the hole.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chasing after the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool. But Derek, what is your first point?
My first point is actually just the plan of the Hand in this episode. I thought it was a really good idea. You've seen in the past where they've had that kind of damsel in distress thing for the enemies of our hero, where they have one character, which you'd expect to be Karen Page. I really love this idea where it's, let's go around the city and round up all of the people that he saved, put them on one bus. He'll definitely come then. You know, I love this idea. It's something new, I think. It feels new anyway. And I completely misunderstood what was actually happening. At the start of the episode, we have Nobu talking to the mysterious new possible leader, or at least the receptionist or secretary of the Hand.
Yeah, it was interesting.
The Hand's left hand?
The Hand's left hand, yes. Or the right hand one.
With the handgun.
But where he's talking to her and he's reading the file and she's saying there's 20 in there, and he goes, go out and take them all down. I totally thought that was going to be the Defenders. I thought it was going to be the powered people of New York that he was going to go after. I was expecting something completely different to happen, and it turns out to be all of the people that Daredevil had saved in the past. I really did like it though, and it gave us our second appearance in the season of Turk Barrett.
Yay!
That was cool to see him
Love
back,
that.
wasn't it? Yeah. Especially because he's the one that saves them all by being a criminal.
That was awesome. With his little tag around his ankle.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool idea. But there is some real brutality in that scene, showing the man standing up to the Hand, the older guy who stands up to them.
Who was he?
You see, I kind of felt they didn't pick people that we'd recognize, because remember, since Daredevil season 1 and cutting into Daredevil season 2, he has been on the streets and he has been saving people in stories that we weren't shown, I suppose, on screen. So I don't think I recognized him from any of the episodes.
That's what I was trying to...
Yeah, I mean, even actually, I didn't actually recognize Turk so much immediately. I was like, well, that must be Turk. But like, I didn't recognize him. But I thought the killing, the shot to the head of the old man, I thought that was quite shocking, actually. It really was like this huge power play from this new character, with the red hair, the lady. I thought that was quite shocking. And I really liked, Karen's kind of wince and expression as that happens. Absolutely. Like really bad. Yeah. And even then where they notice as well Turk's got the tag on, and they start chomping away, slicing into his flesh.
That's probably my wince moment for the episode, that particular scene, definitely. One of the other things about it is that moment where the older man stands up, it really felt like that scene from Avengers, where Loki is trying to control the crowd, and the one man stands up and says, Loki says to the old man, "You've never seen anybody like me," and he says, "There's always people like you."
Yeah.
Reference to the Nazis and a reference to those kind of people. It felt like that scene, and then they flip it on its head where he just gets shot in the head. You know, if Loki was as evil a villain as the Hand are and as Nobu is, that's what he would have done in that scene. He would have just killed him.
Pretty sure Disney would have had a few words about that. Like,
he did try, and Captain America
let's not
saved
shoot people in the head.
Yeah, probably not. But they own the Netflix shows as well, so they let that happen. I
personally would have preferred the girl, the young girl who was being chased in the very first episode. That would have brought it as a nice circle back to the beginning, from the beginning to the end.
It would have been nice to have.
I didn't see her. I tried
some
looking
recognizable
for
characters. Yeah, there seem to be loads. We didn't get many focus on anybody really, other than Karen Turk and the older man that got shot. But yeah, it would have been nice to have a face in the crowd that you recognise.
The girl who was chased into the church. If we had seen her, that would have. In my head, I was going, no, that would have made more sense. Even if she had died, that would have made slightly more impactful. Mm-hmm. The fact that they just killed off an old man who I wasn't quite sure who he was,
right?
And I'm pretty sure someone's going to turn around and go, "Well, he was from this episode and we just missed it." I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." I just don't remember his face. Let's just say that he's not memorable,
right? Yeah,
but I thought just the woman would have been better.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely take that point. I do like the plan, though. I think the plan was quite cool.
Yeah, the plan was very cool.
Gian, do you want to take us on with your next point?
Yeah, it's the rooftop scene, but not the one we're all thinking about.
Okay.
I love the rooftop scene where Matt is getting continually frustrated by all the sounds of the city.
Oh, yes.
I think they talk about the electricity of the city pulsating, and he's kind of totally frustrated. And then Elektra has this calmness about her. And I really like that because it all plays on his senses, which we've only seen a few times here, in this season. And I thought it was just really nice that, it just kind of contrasts with some of the other scenes that we've had with, between Elektra and Matt Murdock, where it's been quite confrontational, and here she's starting to help him out, and I think it leads to sort of nicer moments, which I think you will probably talk about later on, where you really get this pact beginning to form between Elektra and Matt. They're just kind of recognizing their differences, and I think this is played out on this rooftop as well, where he's kind of really trying hard to save these people again and getting frustrated by it, and she's just this calm, cool, collected killer, and she just has these different kind of views, but they kind of work. It's that opposites attract thing. Mm-hmm. And I love that sense of the city pulsating and being way too much for him to handle, that his powers do have a limit if there's too much chatter about, and just the fact then that she helps him to calm him down so that he can focus, and they find, obviously where they're holding the hostages, through the police, CB radios and stuff. So I really just enjoyed that. I thought it was a nice moment between the two principal characters. Again, rounding it off really quite nicely. I thought it was kind of fairly poignant, and it leads to more poignant moments like along this episode, which I thought was right for these two characters. Definitely,
absolutely. No, I really like the scene. It reminded me of Man of Steel, the most recent, or the first Superman remake, I suppose, where the scene where he's being overwhelmed by everything he can hear, and his mom is the only person that can calm him down in that scene, which I love. I love that scene itself. And it really does feel like that's a real big thing for Elektra and Matt to have a scene together where it shows why he's in love with her. It shows why the two of them are made for each other, even though they don't want to be together or shouldn't be together, because everything goes pretty bad if they are together. But they really needed that, I think. And they've had a couple of moments in this episode where everything just drops away and the two of them get some scenes together. Elodie Young and
Charlie Cox.
Thank you,
Charlie
Charlie Cox.
Cox.
You see, how did I forget his name? I've just been calling him Matt and Daredevil
I
so
know.
often. But it's just the two of them, I think, in this episode particularly have some fantastic moments where they're really, their acting is just fantastic. Elodie Young is brilliant in this show. I really want to see her back.
Yeah, really like that. One thing, what did you think about her trench coat?
Her Matrix coat.
Yeah, it
Yes.
was very Matrixy.
Yeah.
It seemed weird. It seemed like she shouldn't be wearing it, jumping around all the roofs. Like when she slides down, is following Matt. I just kind of thought, this is like going to do karate or something like this in a duffel coat or something. It just didn't. It seemed a bit weird to me. But I mean, that's just.
No, I know what you mean, and I actually think we had a quick conversation about this. This is after Elektra's got her new outfit. This seemed like totally incongruous with the Elektra character. She's generally seen walking around in very reasonably skimpy clothes, not as skimpy as the character in the comic books, but she's just gotten her new outfit. She gets a new coat and puts it over the top of her new outfit. That's totally for the audience to have the big reveal later on when she takes off the coat to reveal her outfit. It doesn't make sense. You're absolutely right. It doesn't make sense that she would be wearing the coat. But it is a cold day in Hell's Kitchen, so maybe she's...
That's true. That is true. And it is Christmas.
Yes, that's right.
So she needs to wrap up well.
Sorry. Just...
There you go. But Chris, do you want to take us on to your next point?
I just want to kind of tag on to one bit, and because I didn't get to chat to you guys about the last episode, Matt being able to the learning greater usage of his powers.
Oh yes,
That's nice. So focusing on the heartbeat, and then this one focusing on like a large or on a certain sound miles away. For me, that was the birth of the Daredevil, like properly, because you can even see the one thing I have to say is nice that they changed his fight style further in the last two episodes. So he was, remember I was giving out about being the boxer and not doing the flip kicks and stuff. He's now doing the flip kicks and he's now doing the kind of karate chops to the neck and
he's doing a lot of swinging.
We'll get to that.
He's a swinger.
I was so happy. I glee kind of like, but no, I think that was really nice that they're let's say, okay, it took 13 episodes in season 1 to get him in the suit. And now it's another 13 episodes to get him into his weapon of choice, which we'll discuss later.
Yes,
but also then the fighting style that we know and understand. So I think probably in season 3 we'll get a bit more of him doing the parkour, running around a bit more, like, because we got one nice scene of when he was on the rooftops running to the building.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And we got this when he kind of jumps and then slides down. I was like, I thought I was like, cool backflip or something.
I think you should go into your other point about the outfit, the swing, and his new weapon, Chris.
Okay. I'm going to skip on to my thing. So we get the Billy Club.
Yes,
we do.
I was so happy when we went to Belvin, and then I was like, okay, so he was just going to do Elektra's suit, man. And then he took out the box. I was like,
what's in there?
Yeah.
Is it a snooker cue?
I was hoping more that the club, not the club, the cane. Can you imagine they had the old style cane where it kind of connects?
I was thinking that, but remember, Potter doesn't know that Matt is blind.
Yeah.
Even though he spent loads of time with him, he's made loads of suits for him. He knows his size pretty well. He doesn't know that Matt's blind, which
Inside scene.
maybe. No, it's all about Betsy. But yeah, I know what you mean. It was a really cool scene to finally have Daredevil with his full complement and his Billy Club.
Definitely.
Particularly the comment from Melvin Potter saying, the uses for this are endless, which I thought was great to set up. We see tons of uses for the Billy Club in this episode, and there's still loads more that he can use it for in season 3.
I loved Elektra's "Where's Mine?" Like you just see like a child in a sweet shop.
Absolutely.
Really, really cool. I was also kind of looking to see whether it looks anything remotely like the Daredevil movie. I know that's really sad.
Oh, I know what you mean.
But just that had like kind of little devils on the sort of crown of the billy club. And I was kind of looking to see, is it like that? But thankfully it wasn't.
No.
Well, actually, that was quite cool.
That. No.
Yeah, it was. But I was seeing if there were any parallels, but I didn't see any.
No, for me, it was amazing. Again, it's a nod back to Daredevil issue 1, where they show off the Billy Club and they show that it can turn into the ninja when in the yellow suit one. Mm-hmm. And fun trivia. It was created by Jack Kirby, apparently.
Oh,
so
really?
that's the rumor.
Oh, that's very cool.
Even though Jack Kirby didn't pen, or ink, I should say, pen, Daredevil issue 1, mm-hmm. apparently he came up with the idea for the Billy Club and how that it would be part of the cane and that it could be turned into a kind of like a grappling hook, which they mentioned, which I was like, yes.
That was quite cool.
And then the nunchucks, which is even better. Mm-hmm. And then they could be fully separated.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
Very cool.
The one thing that concerned me was the little comment from Potter that he didn't have another one. This is a prototype. This is the only one. And the first battle that Daredevil goes in and drops it after hitting 2 guys.
Yeah!
Like, be careful with that. There's only one of them in the world.
Be careful of your toys.
Yeah, I was more going like, he throws away a lot. I'm like going... Mm-hmm. You're not Batman here. You can't just leave bat symbols everywhere. Daredevil. See, that's how they end up knowing. Daredevil ends up just leaving lots of billy clubs all over Hell's Kitchen. It's like, there's one prototype by 25 here in the evidence locker.
Exactly. Maybe that's what he'll do. He'll just store them in the evidence locker in the police department, maybe.
But the biggest part of this, the part I was most happy about, was the swing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just... Okay, it looked... very Wire-esque, and well, what do we expect? Like, I was kind of like, it wasn't like,
it was real.
And like,
it was real.
It was, yeah, of course. But it was just, I don't know what it was about. I think it was just probably the way Charlie Cox kind of portrayed it, but it looked like he wasn't sure when he was running. There was this element of, and then jump.
So, there was a moment that I thought you'd watched ahead. If you're joining us for the first time, listeners, the way we watch our episodes is we watch one episode, podcast about it, we watch it as many times as we want to, and we don't watch ahead. And Chris had made a comment in about episode 4 of the show.
I did.
Saying the one thing we haven't seen from Daredevil is him throwing his billy club up, swinging around a pole, and then running. It seemed so specific, and then when we saw the scene, I was going, Chris watched this. I know he did. Yeah. It's only this morning that I found out that Chris definitely didn't watch ahead, so I'm delighted that we've been following my rules.
Yeah.
I loved how the camera tracked around as well and followed him, and then as he touched the ground, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
It was worth it, I think, in the end. And I think, like I said, this is the evolution of... Again, the evolution of Daredevil. It's the evolution of Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage. It's their origins.
Mm-hmm. So when do you think he will be in the really tight suit?
The spandex.
Yeah, the spandex.
This was pretty tight. There were some moments in the episode that I was wondering... it's kind of Charlie gets into that.
It's kind of like the sort of the bust of him in the opening credits, where and they're kind of, when's he going to get into that kind of real comic book sort of
wax costume,
latex or lycra, I should say, not latex. The lycra Daredevil suit. So maybe that will come in season 3.
Maybe.
I'm thinking they're going to keep
be like Ned Flanders. In it's like wearing nothing at all.
Oh no,
nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Speaking of new outfits, my next point is Elektra's new suit, her actual new suit. It kind of cool to get it. It didn't seem hugely different from the last suit, except a little bit more kind of floaty bits around it. What did jump out at me? We've done 13 episodes of the podcast, obviously now, so we've pulled out little bits as we went along. I remember Chris being particularly angry on an episode that we were talking about the fact that Matt's a bit. It does things that are a little bit unfair with Elektra. He drags her into fights when she's basically wearing a dress, because she's such a good fighter. I think the exact comment you made was, "Cover up your arms, woman." There's people coming at you with swords. She gets her new costume. She has high gloves.
The design limitation.
Yeah, high gloves. She's got no coverage on her arm. And that's where she gets cut, of course.
Yeah.
You were absolutely right, Chris. We need you in Melvin Potter's workshop.
Seriously.
Cover up your arms. He's covered head to toe. You've seen those gloves.
He's got a helmet as well.
Exactly.
He should even cover here. I'm pretty sure, you're looking at Daredevil, you're going, armor. Oh, look at his chin. If we just scrape him there, I'm pretty sure we could like nick an artery or something.
A poison dart, just straight to the chin.
It's like, what's he gonna start like going? No, my stubble will cover it all, and no one will be like, come on.
Although, his stubble's pretty strong now.
But then he would look like a red stormtrooper.
True.
And they just die.
Yeah, well, they can't hit things. That's the
Exactly.
But yeah, no, like Elektra kind of really seemed like she'd been shortchanged with regards to the materials. Because even she's got no head protection either.
Yeah, apart from her little face mask.
But it was just the face mask. That wasn't even upgraded.
Exactly.
That's to cut out the smog of New York City.
Yes, but I'm guessing, and I know again, Potter does mention earlier on in the season that he's now created a fabric that he's able to use on suits that it mimics a normal suit, but it is bulletproof almost. You know, that's what I presume he's using on Elektra's new costume. So there is a better benefit than her just going out and buying something in Marks and Spencer's or in Penny's, and wearing it.
Okay, she gets shot here. Yay, she saved. She gets shot here. It's like, But the one thing I say I did like is that they gave her this kind of like, I don't know, how would you put it? It's like a very Chinese orientated dress, where the legs are open, but there's a piece of material in the middle.
Yeah.
Big
reminder of the old Elektra costume. I'm just looking behind us at the Elektra costume. On our shelf over here, and it is reminiscent of it. It's not exactly like it. I do like, and we will probably talk about that particular scene later on, but I do like the fact that she ends in red, in full red.
Oh yeah.
At the end of this episode, because that's her costume. The one weird thing about this is, how did they not know that Elektra's part of the Hand? Her favorite colors are black and red, and that's what her costume is. And every member of the Hand is wearing a version of that costume. So they must have known. Yeah. No, I'm talking like full black with a little bit of red. That is the Hand costume. That's what they all seem to get when they get inducted into the Hand. Is their own costume that looks exactly like.
Well, then there's the Hand tailor. He goes, "What would you like it in? Black, red, black and red." Okay,
yes,
there you go.
There you go. It is a cool color. I would definitely wear it myself. John, do you want to take us on to the next point?
Yeah, a quick one. It made me chuckle. Is Officer Mahoney, where he turns to Karen as she's legging it out of the building after being freed, and says, "Is there any shitstorm that you aren't a part of?" I thought, given what I kind of said at the end, in the last episode, I just thought this was like, go Officer Mahoney. You speak the truth for all us viewers. She does like to get herself embedded into a lot of shit.
She really does. She really does. I don't think she had much choice this particular episode. She was barreled into a bus along with everybody else that Daredevil had ever saved. But yes, you're absolutely right. She does tend to find herself in a lot of trouble. Not necessarily the damsel in distress.
Not at all.
Which is quite cool. At least they give her a little bit of stuff to do when she has been captured or is being involved in these scenes. So that's at least a good thing.
Yeah, but they could just tag Karen Page now, and follow her, because then they could catch most of the criminal elements of New York City. Just simply by tagging her and GPSing her.
Yes.
Yeah. At some point in the dead of night, they will be able to catch, I don't know, whether it's Nobu, whether it's Turk, whether it's the Punisher, whether it's whoever it may be, that they will be able to track her. And track them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I like that little touch. I just thought it was really nice. And certainly given the fact that, I thought as well, just Officer Mahoney in this episode, just with, he's there, speaking with Daredevil, and he's like, "You're the person that I've got to come to now." That this kind of realization that he, in a sense, he's almost embedded into Daredevil as well, with regards to the information that he gets and the exchange. But he got a pretty bad beating from the Hand as well, like his arm in the sling, all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was just nice having this moment with Officer Mahoney and Daredevil in this episode as well.
It's definitely something from the comic books, having the hero of your comic books having some kind of connection in the police precinct of the city. I think that's
Commissioner Gordon.
Exactly. It is great to have that connection for Daredevil. He needs it. He needs to have some kind of connection there. One of the other things that made me laugh in this episode was when Daredevil singles out where everybody's being kept. The cops have already turned up because of the bracelet that Turk has turned back on again. They both get shot. One of the cops calls in the other police, the other GCPD members. GCPD?
NYPD. Oh my goodness, this is not Gotham.
This is becoming an amalgamation episode.
It is. Well, we've got Jim Gordon as well. That's
Yeah.
why.
This is like Doctor Strange face. This is the amalgam comics.
Yes, it is. But he makes the call. He's got shot. His partner's gotten shot by an arrow. He makes the call into the NYPD for the cops to come down, saying, "Officer down." That's usually the fastest call in New York. And Daredevil beats them there, running across the roofs of the city. So that comment that Matt made to Madame Gale about in an hour I can have 100 cops here, and we laughed at it, going, an hour to get cops across the city? That's pretty bad. It's absolutely right. It is a pretty slow city for cops to respond to a crime, even when one of their own is being shot.
Yeah. What scared me and made me laugh was arrows. It's kind of like, okay, anytime now that they know, anytime they hear someone's being shot with arrows or a sword, pretty sure Mahoney's going to be able to go, all right, yep, Daredevil.
Daredevil's got it, it's fine.
There's going to be ninjas on the roof. We leave it to him. Stay away.
Absolutely. Chris, do you want to take us on to your next point?
Yeah, okay, we're going to have to do this in two parts, so probably, we'll discuss one part and then we can discuss this other part after.
Okay, 2 parts.
Yes, a two-parter. So the scene just before they go on the rooftop between Elektra and Matt.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Where he could, I'll go away with you. And that was, for me, from a storytelling perspective, it was amazing. It was Matt kind of saying that he's giving up his life. He's going to stay with Elektra. He's going to, I think, what was the line? Something along the lines of, I enjoy this too much.
Yeah.
To give it up.
It was the sentiment. It was, I do know that I'm free with you.
Yeah.
It's kind of these two sort of oddballs in society that have always felt sort of apart from society, and they're in this moment where they're essentially under threat, about to go into battle. It's kind of like that. What do they say in the Lord of the Rings? It's the final breath before the deep plunge or something. It's kind of, and they have this moment, where they really ultimately find out that they are good for one another. It doesn't matter that they have different views, that ultimately they are kind of this yin and yang, that they balance one another out when they're together.
Yeah.
And I love that, that they kind of come to this, that I'm free with you, that, you in a sense, make me, who I am and a better person. The sentiment of it was like fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Definitely, and this was one of my points as well. Because particularly Elodie Young in this scene, I loved how it's played. She is terrified, and we haven't seen Elektra scared before. We've seen her so confident in every single endeavor that she's gone through in this show.
Yeah.
She is lying against the wall, shivering and shaking with fear. Matt is calming her down and saying, we can work together. The two of us can run away. All we've got to do is take down those hundreds of hand members outside that door. But I love it. I love that she kind of starts to laugh. And that's the whole purpose, I think, of the scene. It feels like he's just trying to make her kind of calm herself down as well. So very much the kind of bookend to the scene where she helps him out. Because she makes the point at the end of it where she goes, you love the city of New York. You could never leave it. He responds to her saying that there is one thing that's more important to me, which is you. But I don't believe him. I think I don't think he would leave New York for her.
But they wanted to go to sexy places to hide as well.
Including the UK.
London. Tunisia?
No, the beaches are sexy.
Okay.
Maybe it's the old Star Wars set.
The ISIS element, not so much.
No.
Especially the ISIS element in the Star Wars set. No.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah, they could hide out in the Star Wars set. Yeah. She could be Aunt Beru.
They both
Get some blue milk. Madrid's pretty sexy.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
It is actually. The place is absolutely sexy, and bizarrely the food not so much.
Oh, that's true.
I've had. Anyway, moving on. London's kind of sexy with the Shard.
Yeah, I suppose. But what
and
I found,
EastEnders
her
and the Bill.
Oh God! These are deep cuts, people. Deep cuts for our UK viewers.
So one of the best things about being live on YouTube is those are the kind of things I edit out.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us live, listeners.
Yes. He can't do it this time.
I can't do anything.
We have the power
the
of
bit,
Grayskull.
The bit that her accent slips when she was doing the UK. She talked about London. Let's go to London, dear. Did you hear that?
London.
She went literally.
Really?
So her accent goes really London-esque.
Right.
Kind of like.
Okay, I didn't
So yeah, I
spot that.
caught it because I was like going, your accent. Because you know the odd time when Charlie Cox, his accent will slip.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So this was one of those moments, but it seems so I was so wrapped up in what was happening.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on, and I rewind 30 seconds. I was like, yep, there you go. She screwed up, and I just didn't want to redo that scene.
I wish she had pronounced it like Nick Frost did in Hot Fuzz, where it says, we go to London.
Yeah.
But I do love, I have to say, sorry, just to clarify, I love Matt Murdock's, sorry, I said it again. I love Charlie Cox's accent as a New Yorker. I think he does have a great accent. It only slips very occasionally. And he is center of the show. So just in case I've said that it falls all the time, it doesn't fall.
No.
It's on occasion. It's on occasion.
Austin Powers as well. No, there's a sex
there
scene.
you go. There, okay.
Yeah,
Yep,
baby,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
But so we look talk about that, right? So that scene was brilliant.
Definitely.
That scene also blatantly traffic light for me that she was dying in this episode.
Certainly.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like, it was like literally like, this was the calm before the storm. This was, I was like, oh, so they're going to kill her off.
Yeah.
Basically,
Lot of
Matt says he loves her and he's going to run away with her. Yep, she's a goner.
Yeah, definitely.
Boom, boom.
I
But
think
it's fine. She'll be back.
I think I made the point throughout this episode about 3 or 4 times. I said I wish they would stop talking about death because she's going to die.
Yeah.
The first time we see her, she's standing on the roof of Matt's apartment about to jump off. It's like, you're going to die in this episode. Yeah. I know you are.
Can we talk about death?
We will talk about death and rebirth, possibly.
Because
John, do you want to give us your next point then?
well, presumably all setting up for her to come be reborn, resurrected as she gets locked away in the urn for it to do its magic. But at the one moment I did think that maybe zombie Elektra could come back, and given all the gravestones in that cemetery, which was like absolutely jam-packed, I thought this was the perfect opportunity to move into Marvel Zombie world. And you could have zombie Elektra and Matt living happily ever after. But I mean, seriously, I suppose coming back to the main point,
Right.
It would be just that we have the death of Elektra. I loved their fight on the rooftop. I loved their kind of tag team that they were doing. Like you mentioned that point where she comes in and knees Nobu out the way. Really, really enjoyed their tag team fighting going on.
There's the kind of slow motion kick from Daredevil, then followed up by a knee to the head from Elektra, and then the punch from Daredevil.
She kind of swoops in from the side, and it's just really well choreographed the way it's done. And I think ultimately then just the fact that she does that final sacrifice, like in the context of that scene before they go out to battle, really cool.
Absolutely.
I love the fact that she also kind of does the dying slap for Nobu.
That really knocked him out of the way.
I know.
I was like, how strong is she right now?
So I was wondering about that, actually.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of thinking, is this the fact that Nobu's just killed their future leader? I don't know whether he is knocked unconscious on the ground by the slap. He is knocked quite far by it because she's pretty powerful. But I'm wondering whether he's also kind of going, oh God, what the hell have I just done here? Is he just on the ground going, oh, why did I do that? I've just ruined our entire plan for centuries was to get this one person to lead us. I've just stabbed her, and now she's dying. They're not going to like this.
No, but I was thinking that Melvin's material was I thought it would have stopped.
Her size.
Yeah, I kind of thought it would have done that because you saw with Wilson Fisk in season 1, where that suit really just
knifey.
Yeah, protects him from the knife. Now, but I don't know how tough the material is. But there was part of me that kind of went, would that not have been sort of deflected by this material?
It went in through the arm.
But that's not a kill shot.
I know, it goes like...
Yeah, could have done that.
And I did think it's that sort of classic moment where time seems to slow down when someone dies, that there's obviously the big moment which has to be captured on film, but that, I was thinking, well, surely Nobu can just come up now and then stab Matt.
Yeah.
So there was an element of that, but that you have to give the space for that big scene to happen. So I'm just being silly. Really.
Or maybe that just plays into my point that maybe Nobu's going, what the hell have I done?
Yeah,
my plan's ruined. I better get off this reef and run away. Maybe.
I thought it was more the Black Sky part.
Mm-hmm.
So we never truly figured out what Black Sky was. We've had some amazing theories over the last 2 seasons.
Chance of thunderstorms, I think.
Yeah,
might be.
Inhumans, everything. That's why I thought this is where the Black Sky, like as she was dying, her strength came out. And kind of thing.
Maybe. But one of the things that we do know from this episode, and what I really liked about the scene you spoke about earlier on, John, the scene where Elektra kind of reveals the fact that she doesn't want to be the Black Sky, because regardless of what happens to her, whether she leads them or whether they stick her in a cage in the center of the Hand's main location, they're still going to do terrible, awful things in her name. So does she just go with it, or does she kill herself? Is kind of the choices that she feels she has. She either goes with it or kills herself. That's when Matt is kind of saying to her, maybe we join up and we take them out, not on Stick's plan, which is quite cool. I really like the idea that, yes, we don't know exactly what the Black Sky is, but we know they're going to use her as kind of the idol to kill loads of people behind, you know?
Definitely.
That was quite cool.
Sorry, the center of the hand, the palm.
There you go.
Come on, they call their headquarters the palm. That would be amazing.
The knuckles.
Yeah. No, that's the fringe edges. The one bit I did like to say is that they killed her with the sai.
Yes.
Very reminiscent of the bullseye kill in the comic books, which I was very happy with. Obviously, they didn't do the whole and then like the point, which I would have probably preferred. Like if Nobu had stabbed her up and kind of like this, and then kind of had her on his head, and then you had the side coming through with pushing through one side of the fabric.
Yeah.
Like that would have been an amazing comic book-esque moment, similar to like the Civil War scenes that we saw.
Yeah, but I think they did that in the Daredevil movie. That they did that exact scene and showed the fabric not breaking with the sai going through. I think maybe you've got 2 options here. Either it goes through or it doesn't, which is to John's point about Potter's fabric. If it goes through, then it goes all the way through. It can't, it can either do one or the other. Like, why would he make the back more powerful?
But it was an accidental kill, though. So, yes. I mean, in the sense, when he stabs into her, he's not going to go, oh no, as he really sticks it in.
That's true.
She was sacrificing herself to protect Matt, even though she's probably got the less protection.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
The death speech, by the way, kind of cheesy. Not good, nice, but kind of cheesy. It was a bit of a death trope. Lie back. I'm gonna no. I was like,
we had to get at least one trope in here.
Give it to them. It was kind of nice, and like Mako, like kind of the quivering lip. I was like, okay, cute, but like just.
I like the rage afterwards, and I thought that was that made sense. The devil inside really came out. That was cool, and I loved just the fact that he just went after Nobu.
He needs to learn to breathe through his nose, though. I was like,
I like that though. I like that. I like the fact that after the battle, he's really kind of like pumping the air through his mouth. Feels like he's done something.
It's also like the Punisher scene where he took out the 2 guys in the cafe, where the Punisher's so heavy breathing, and that's when Karen realizes he's got a bit of a monster inside him.
I like Charlie Cox's heavy breathing.
And on that note,
Derek, what's your next point?
Yes, speaking of the Punisher, we finally have the Punisher in this episode. We finally have him in a full costume, so he gets his skull painted on his costume. That's quite cool.
He does, yeah.
And comes in to help out Elektra and Matt in their fight against the Hand, which is very, very cool. Standing on the top of the building, taking out members of the Hand with his gun. I was waiting for him to just kind of send a little wave goodbye to Matt. See you later.
He says it though. He said, see you again. See you later.
See you later, Red.
Yeah. I like his nickname.
Yeah, that's quite cool. But he also burns down the house of family home. The other big thing for Frank, that he's effectively cutting all ties with his past and everything that he left behind with his family. One slight thing, and we mentioned this while watching the episode, John, so just to bring it in here, how long does it take to heal a black eye? And bruised face. He looks so beat up and bruised. And I know it's from the beating in prison from the Kingpin, the one that the Kingpin gave him. But we started out on our first episode saying that we thought this was around St. Patrick's Day probably just because it was full of Irish people and it was being released on the 18th of March. We're now at Christmas.
We've gone through summer because of the heat. That's been referenced.
It mentioned in the first episode that there's a heat wave of over 120 degrees, so you'd think that's the summertime. So if this is 6 months of time in Hell's Kitchen, and he got the beating about 2 months in, you'd think that would have been healed, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but Matt heals twice as fast as him as well.
Yes.
I was like, Matt had a cut and then he'd gone. I was like, oh, come. I think they just will perpetually have him in like kind of black and just blue.
Beaten.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how you know he's there. He has like a swollen eye out here.
Punisher.
Like,
yeah.
Sorry,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
But yes, great to have the Punisher in this episode. Finally seeing what he looks like. I think I mentioned last episode when he walked into the armory that we've got a bit of a theme tune for the Punisher that kind of comes back in this episode as well. Really looking forward to getting the soundtrack for this series because some of the music cues have been really good. So, but yeah, really nice to have the Punisher in here.
Yeah, the little disc as well. Don't forget the little disc.
You go right ahead, John.
No, well, no, it's not. I wasn't going to bring in the disc, but it was actually the reveal of Daredevil to Karen, but also, does the Punisher now know who Red is? Because Matt's the mask is knocked off his head by Nobu in the fight, and obviously Frank has got a sniper rifle. He's got a sight. He's taken out the ninjas.
Absolutely.
Does he see who Daredevil actually is in that instant? I think that would be really cool if he did, that he knows his true identity. But obviously then as well, the other part of this is that Matt is then reveals that he is Daredevil to Karen as well.
Yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting thing to do. It certainly pushes season 3, any potential for a season 3 down a certain route, in terms of their relationship, which I suppose we could have a good idea of maybe where that goes. Certainly, again, drugs.
So we are 26 episodes into our coverage of Daredevil, and I think when we got introduced to Karen Page in the first episode, both of these guys are like, yeah, she's going to die of a drug overdose. That's kind of,
I'm born again.
It was 26 episodes in. We still haven't had her even touching drugs. We've had her taking lots of whiskey, like getting drunk. We've had the fact that she, possibly was in a drink driving accident with her brother, where he was killed. We've had that alluded to. But her big storyline the one that comic book fans know has not been shown on the show yet, or even hinted at, other than there's a dark past. So, we will hopefully get that at some point, but I'm wondering whether it's going to be something that they'll leave for like season 5. So, next season, no mention of the drugs unless it's actually brought up on the show. Right? That's the one.
I like the fact that sort of Punisher could know his identity. And I thought it was an interesting choice, as I say, to really, have Matt reveal his alter ego to Karen. Certainly given that he's just laid Elektra in the ground. I mean, I didn't quite know what the motives were. Was it to sort of buy back her trust and just simply that, and friendship, by that sort of try and earn that back from her?
Yeah.
Or I was thinking, oh, well, Elektra's dead now, so I'll go back to Karen, given that they had the intimate relationship beforehand. Yeah. I don't think it is that, but it was an interesting choice to make, and a real big one in such a short space of time as well, I thought.
Absolutely. I think it's to do with the conversation that he has with Stick, where he's effectively saying, you told me to cut ties with everybody. Myself and Elektra only had moments over the years. And he's effectively, by revealing himself to Karen, he's creating a new relationship with her. He's starting again and going, you need to know who I really am, so I don't have to tell you I fell down the stairs drunk again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's got to be wearing on him at this stage. I'm not an alcoholic, actually.
But I do fall over quite a lot.
Yes. I get punched and fall over quite a lot. Right, let's go on to the disc then. Let's quickly talk about the disc that
Micro.
Frank takes...
Yeah, Easter eggs. Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm going to give this to you one because.
All right. So it's gone around all three of us. I'll take it back then. So Microchip is the partner of Frank Castle in the comic books. He's generally the kind of source of all of Frank's information, his targets, the people that he goes after. So having this effectively is Punisher has got some information about Kandahar, about his past, about the people that were in the force with the Colonel, that we saw last episode.
Yeah.
Blacksmith. That's it. The Blacksmith. So Frank is effectively now created, he's got his mission disc, basically. So he's going to go off, use this disc to find out a bit more about his history and take out some of the bad guys. But I like that it had Micro written on it. I like that it's a reference to Microchip from the comic books. That's quite cool.
But who uses CDs these days?
Not everything's
See,
in the
no,
cloud.
no.
but
like-
it's off grid.
Yes.
Yeah, but you can use a USB. You can hide a USB just as easy.
Depends on when Kandahar happened, Chris. This could be something from Kandahar, which is...
In the 80s. It could be in
Well,
the
90s
80s.
probably.
Or
Like,
90s.
hey, 80s would be like an old floppy disk. An 8-inch floppy. It'd be like... It's just go like the whole season of Punisher one is him trying to find a device that will actually like be able to read the
There you
But yeah, maybe it's just old school.
Could be.
Off-grid, old school.
I'm going to go into one thing you just very mentioned, and this is something that annoyed me in this, but I didn't get to discuss it last episode, obviously, because I was flying elsewhere.
You're a superhero. You were
Exactly.
flying.
I was all by my little lonesome.
Editing. Anyway.
Yeah. So the armory he finds in the blacksmith.
Yes.
That's not really well explained.
No.
No, see, it's just there's the car crash, and then she follows the blood, and it's just like he's trying to run away
Yeah.
from the Punisher, but it's just a random shack
No.
It's obviously not a random shack in the woods.
Yeah.
So, but that part isn't explained.
So the only we did have to watch it obviously a couple of times before the episode, and the one thing that kind of stands out is the reason for the car crash. It's not a car crash. It's not an accident.
No, he does.
He tells her to stop right there. So we know that's the blacksmith's location that he's bringing her to. He's got this off-site shed effectively with all the weapons that he stores for his group. That's why the armory is so big and so full of awesomeness. But that's where it's kept away from his family home, effectively. So he's made her drive there, and he's going to kill her in there is the plan. But yeah, you're right.
When you think about it.
When you watch it a second or third time, I would hate to have watched these 30 episodes back to back in a day, because there's so much stuff that you pick up by the second watch. Yeah.
But for this was like literally, I thought he was telling her to pull over so he could shoot her just in the woods. Kind of like that's what it kind of seemed to me. It's like, pull over here. It's a nice dark area. I'm going to kill you.
You're right. Yeah.
Nope. He's taking her to. So for the whole thing for me was, it's just a shit. So basically, he just kind of stumbled upon a redneck arsenal. That's where my head went. I was like,
I had the same thing. I immediately thought horror movie. I immediately thought this is where you're sort of hiking through the woods, and you come across this shed. You look in, you find this armory. Next thing, your head is on a spike.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Leatherface is running through. It's like Leatherface versus Punisher. It'd be amazing.
That would be pretty
That would
cool.
be a cool crossover.
Okay, I'm going to go on to one of my other points. I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, guys, sorry, my notes are on my phone. That's why
He's the only one allowed.
I keep taking it out. See, everything's in the cloud. My thing.
I'm off grid on paper.
Yeah,
I'm like
Old
micro.
I know I bash Karen a lot, and I'm sorry. I do a lot on this series. I have a massive issue. I have a massive issue with the bulletin right now.
Mm-hmm.
They have basically taken on an unproven journalist who was
With writer's block.
With writer's block, who was a legal assistant. Put her in a massive office that was probably was obviously for one of their Pulitzer winning reporters. Put her in there, let her go away, and he's like going, go write me an amazing story.
Yeah.
I'm holding area on the front page of the Sunday issue. I'm like,
I know.
I was like, ugh. We discussed it 2 episodes ago. This is a way for them to keep the news element, the investigatory element into the series and the show. And obviously they didn't know that this was happening. They didn't know that, that they would get a second season or a third season. So that's fine. We understand that. There's a better way of doing it. It really, really, really annoyed me in this episode. It was like, because when she was staring at that thing, I'm going, yes, you are getting writer's block because you're not a professional journalist.
Absolutely.
Well, I thought she had the most understanding boss ever, because if I didn't produce anything for 3 months, I would be fired.
Yeah, exactly. I want one article. I'm like, I'm going to work with a bulletin. One every 3 months, yeah.
But I liked how it linked into the voiceover of her and her sort of narrative as we see all these kind of tie-ups.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good for that device, but maybe she could have been in a back office rather than, as you say, Ben Urich's.
But it felt like Ben Urich's office, it seems to be some kind of a tribute to Ben, because nothing's been moved since he left, so nobody wants that office. That's what I think. It's like a shrine to Ben. You can go work in the office.
People who work in that office died. So season 3, Karen Page, drugs. Yeah.
After this episode, no more. But yes, I'm going to agree with you on this.
Yay!
Yes, so the one big problem here, and I think one of our listeners, Doug Green, mentioned it in a message to us that we talked about last week on Twitter. She's not a reporter. Now she's not even a writer. Why is she there? I love the moment when the editor, the chief editor of the Bulletin, Ellison, when he says to her, she goes, "Oh, well, I don't know whether to start with about the attack that Frank had, or whether about the case." And he goes, "Well, they're not news anymore." It's like what he's actually saying is, when I hired you, those were news stories.
Yep.
That would have been great if you'd wrote about those 3 months ago, but they've all been reported. Can you write me something new from your point of view that people would actually be interested in reading? Because I'd read something that you wrote. If you write something, I'll pay you, kind of thing. And I think that bottle of whiskey is actually her pay for the first 3 months, because he can't be paying her anything else. He can't be on retainer for no words at all.
But also the article she did write, let's be fair, it was 8 lines. It was probably like this. I was like, if they had it in a nice kind of full-on monologue with the voiceover, then I'd be like, so she wrote a full 1-page essay. That's okay.
But I like how the editor, Ellison, how he gets really strict. I want 2,000 lines before Santa arrives.
Yeah.
And it is Christmas Eve. And you're like going, and it's nighttime and the lights are sparkling. And I just think,
But
so now you're getting strict with her?
But since Santa's a fictional character, sorry kids,
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
since Santa's a fictional character, has he just given her a deadline that doesn't actually mean anything? I need 2,000 words before this fictional character comes to life and arrives.
I can't believe you've just ruined my life by saying Santa's not
Well,
real.
man, Santa's in the Marvel Universe, so I'm just saying, we're in the Marvel Universe. MCU have the MCU EU. We got in the MCU or the...
No, that's the DCEU.
Yeah.
It's
So what are we actually calling the Netflix universe?
It's MCU. It's
MCU.
It's all together. Yeah.
Okay,
MCU. It's all
/
connected.
Netflix.
Yeah. With Disney, with Star Wars, all that. It's all connected.
No.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker's just got a TIE fighter just crashes into Manhattan.
I hope not.
No, but anyway, that was my kind of overall point. It was just, this grated on me. This just, that throughout she is a good investigator.
Yeah.
So she should kind of link up with Jessica Jones. That would have made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like she becomes a
researcher, investigator, absolutely.
Yeah, like a detective, kind of a private PI.
Yeah.
And I like how they clarified that in her context in the law firm with Nelson and Murdoch. I really like the fact that, she's just got this knack for getting to bits of information and the truth.
Absolutely.
Well,
And then
it's not
that all
she
made...
just falls into it a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, that all made sense for me. And then they, obviously, with the storyline and how it's transpired with Matt and Foggy, then obviously that's collapsed, but she finds herself then in a totally unrealistic, like she's a researcher, not the next big journalist.
Absolutely.
And that's her working with Ellison more closely. And even him doing the narrative would have worked, because I quite like Ellison in this season. I like his sort of wit and his sarcasm towards it. I just think it really works for his character, and it would have been nice that they kind of team up and you see a bit of that more so, I think, and maybe he's writing the article and how, someone who's sort of outside of that, has that external view.
Or an actual journalist, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the main part.
I'm out of points. I've gone through my full 5 points. John, do you have a final point?
Oh, I do. Oh, I do. Nobu dead. R.I.P. Nobu. But I just loved it. I'm sad that he is dead and that he's actually finally now gone. But I loved how he was just whipped off the roof by Murdoch in this like rage, using his new billy clubs and the swingy things, the wire in between. But then just he wakes up, and I love the fact that it's Stick that delivers the final slice and stab, and lops off his head, and you piece of shit, stay down for good kind of thing. Absolutely loved it. I just love Stick as well in this. But he looks like a hobo that's just crawled out of a dumpster, with katana in hand. I just really like that scene where he's walking away from his killing of Nobu. I was going to say Naboo again.
You got through it. You nearly got through the whole episode.
Queen Amidala comes out of the dumpster and goes, "In my mind, you were wrong."
And this is why we edit, and we sound so much better when we're not live.
But I thought, R.I.P. Nobu, loved the character.
Absolutely.
And I think with Head Off, unless we do have a Marvel zombie. Oh no, he's even dead as a zombie. Oh, okay, he's definitely gone. So, sad to see him go as a character. I really like Nobu's character. I thought it was a real nice menace that he brought, especially to Daredevil. I like, I love some of the lines he delivered on that rooftop battle. She belongs to me, and you are going to, and you are gone, or something. Like he's really wants Daredevil out of the picture. I love that sort of, that attack on Daredevil, kind of Wilson Fisk-esque in a sense. He's got someone after him, and it's a powerful person in this sense. Daredevil really does get the better of him, and little does he know that Stick's the stab, slice,
so good. What a way to end 300 years,
of feuding, exactly.
That's it. Not this time, mate.
Did anyone else feel like there should have been some like electricity start sparking as soon as the head went off, and then it's like, there can be only one. Come on, the trench coat, the katana, it was pure Highlander nod.
I can see what you're talking about. I can see what you mean.
It was like, what was his name? Christopher
Lloyd. Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. It's like literally like the brown trench coat in New York. He behead a guy and walk away, and then he stores the katana here. I literally was going. I was like, there can be only one. I can't even remember the music, but I have it in my head. It was like,
I remember that's the quickening. I don't know how I remember that. But,
oh my God,
that is
yes.
The yes. Anyway, yes, really good. Really nice reference, definitely. Chris, do you have any final points?
I do. And this is actually, this is the last time we'll see Josie's.
That's right.
Yes.
It's the end of Josie's.
Yeah, that was
R.I.P. Josie's.
A really nice scene, though.
It was. Yeah. With Foggy getting his bonus, he's able to pay off the tab, which actually, this is the real part of me. The point, I should say. This is the end. They're killing off, I suppose killing off is the wrong word. They're closing down a lot of threads. And one that actually was more emotional than I thought I would be about and that I cared more about than even Elektra's death, because I think I knew that was coming, was that I always thought they'd fix Nelson and Murdoch by the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Like last episode, did you want me to try and stop you from going? When he says that in the office. And then I was expecting, when in that bar scene, just before the tab was closed, Matt would come in, or Foggy to be in there with Karen in the office when he shows her and goes, "There's no more secrets between all of us."
Yeah.
I was expecting that to be wrapped up a bit more.
Yeah.
But I know we discussed, maybe because Foggy's going to be in Iron Fist, or he'd be in Luke Cage now, or something.
Yeah.
He probably could even be in the Jessica Jones season 2.
Yeah. He could run for DA.
Yeah, there's all that. But I wanted that back together. That's the bit one of the bits I love about the Daredevil comics.
I'm kind of glad they didn't. I have to say.
Why?
Because we had the breakup and get back together in season 1. They broke up in episode 8 or 9 of season 1 and got back together in episode 11, and they had the last 2 episodes back together as Nelson and Murdoch. This season we show the breakup. We show the fact that these guys can't work together for a while. I think Foggy needs some time away where we should be expanding
He
it.
needs space.
Yeah, but
We're on a break.
yeah, but we should be expanding the show. We can't have the characters do the same thing over and over again. So we need to have Foggy do something else other than be there to take the legal cases for Matt. Maybe he can actually have some legal cases on his own next season working for Hogarth Benowitz and the other one. And obviously Nelson. But maybe he will have some big moments next season which are just about Foggy, which aren't about Daredevil. It's nice to kind of expand the cast of characters and let them do other things other than just follow what's happening in Matt's universe, I suppose.
And I like the fact that him and Karen are still relatively tight as well. You know, that you're still my friend. You know, it doesn't change the fact that they could interact and work together in some way, even with Matt. The thing and I'm kind of looking forward to that, seeing them operate as that threesome, but just outside of the attorney practice.
Exactly, just a bit of a different way. I have to say, fair dues to Josie herself, the actress in the scene. She has a little line, I think, when he calls her and says, remember that tab, Josie, that we have for Murdoch and Nelson? And she kind of goes, yeah, okay, I'll put it on the tab. There is a sign behind in the bar that says, only cash, no credit cards. So showing that Nelson and Murdoch are valued customers of the bar, she just kind of says, yeah, I'll put it on the tab. And then he says, no, we want to pay it off. There's a little bit of sadness in her eyes.
Yeah.
Weirdly, it's a really good little moment for a bit part actress in the scene to just display that kind of sadness of, oh, okay, I guess we're not going to get the free law practice anymore. That works upstairs. We don't, I'm going to get paid for this tab, which must run pretty high.
Yeah, I'm going like, I drank in the States for a week there. I know how much that would cost. I'm
Yeah, the tab and, the tip must be massive.
Yes, absolutely.
10% on everything. 10%
Absolutely.
on everything.
But I think that's it for the overall points on the episode.
Just before, they showed the scene, the neon Josies.
Yeah.
Do you remember the teaser for Jessica Jones where we went to Luke's?
Yeah.
I was expecting Josie's to flicker off at the end because it started flickering, and I was like, are they going to close it? And then that's the end of Josie's.
Yeah.
That would be a terrible thing if they closed a bar just because 2 customers left.
Maybe it will blow up like Luke's.
Or maybe Luke will just buy it.
Or maybe
No,
Josie is a member of the Hand.
No. Okay.
Okay, we're going down rabbit hole. So we're closing up.
Closing up overall on the points for the episode. Any other notes? Anything else anybody wants to say about the 13th episode?
I do. I've got 2 notes. Foggy. I really like that. I thought that was quite cute. That's my first.
He is blind.
No, I know.
So that's what they have on.
It was the voice itself. It sounded a little bit like, and I don't know whether you'll get the reference on it. Actually, you'll definitely get the reference on it. It sounded a little bit like the Pixar movie, WALL-E.
Yeah.
It sounded a little bit like
I
that.
I just thought it was really cute.
I think that's actually like
that's
the accessibility voice.
Right, it's very
They can't
good.
because they can't use Siri's voice. They can't use Google's voice. They can't use Cortana's voice. So that's.
I just thought it was cute.
Oh, sorry.
That's all.
No, because I've seen it work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've tested that out before.
Right.
In terms of the accessibility, when you call someone, so I've had to go John. Cute.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then quickly, did we have any Stan Lee cameo in this season? Okay, there's probably still his picture behind the desk in the police precinct. Mm-hmm. But there was no new ones. No. And I didn't think I even caught the police picture. But maybe it was there. So I that was just a general question that we didn't get any form of Stan Lee cameo or new Stan Lee cameo in this episode.
That's correct. Yeah.
Sorry, in this season, let alone this episode.
Yeah, no, that's correct. We got no new one, but I do think the photographs in the background. I kind of remember like episode 2 or something like that, going, oh well, there's the photograph again, but not expecting that would be the cameo.
It was a very small. We did see it, but it was very, very brief.
It was just behind Mahoney early on in the season, I think. Any other notes about the episode?
No, that's it.
All right. Well,
Derek, have you got any? Chris?
I have some. You go first.
No, you go right now.
Okay.
No.
So, Potter and the Gladiator.
Mm-hmm.
We got more.
Got the Gladiator poster again?
Gladiator poster
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Plus the way he picked up the box, there was some more blueprints on the desk. Couldn't really make out what it was.
Very good.
But I'm pretty sure we're going to get Gladiator as a good guy in some point in this. He'll get dressed up.
And then Betsy will die and he'll turn bad. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much. That's where it went. I got the artist on, Daredevil issue number 1, right? It was Bill Everett. I think I just earlier in this episode said Jack Kirby penciled. He didn't pencil issue number 1.
Right, yeah.
I got that wrong. And it was in 1964, sorry. So yeah, that's because Jack Kirby started penciling it later on, I believe.
Right.
But he was one of the originators.
Cool. Okay.
So that's that one. Sorry, correction before someone writes back to me.
See, we normally do the corrections in the edit, which we can't do this time. So,
So I just want to get it in now. And that's pretty much it.
Excellent.
I'll save it that's my notes, but I'll save another thought to the end.
Okay. Well, on that, as always, we will close out our episode with our defense. John, do you defend episode 13 of Daredevil season 2, A Cold Day in Hell's Kitchen?
I do. I do defend this episode of Daredevil. I'm giving it 4 Naboo heads out of 5.
Or Nobu heads.
Or Nobu heads, in fact. I actually thought for the final episode, the wrap-up, I thought it was really good. I actually liked how they really just focused primarily on Elektra and Matt and did the tie-ups at the end in the way that they did with the narrative from Karen finally getting down to write her piece. I really liked that. I liked that the Punisher made a brief little cameo in here with his skull now. And I like the idea that maybe the Punisher knows who Red is as well. Whether he does or not, I don't know, but certainly, I like the idea that he could see through his sight that this was actually the lawyer dude. So I love just mainly though, just how Elektra and Matt interacted. It was really poignant. It really just made sense for these two characters. And for that, I thought it was a really nice closeout to this season. I do defend this episode of Daredevil.
Absolutely.
Derek, do you defend this episode of Daredevil?
Do you know what? I loved this episode overall. Ooh. Finales are hard things. We've done 5 now, I think. 5 season finales so far on Defenders TV podcast. They're a tough thing to get right. Getting that balance right of the build up for the 12 episodes has to be to the finale. And then when you do that, you've also got to set up a next season. Bit difficult here, obviously not knowing that we're going to have a season 3 of Daredevil that set up quite a lot of things to do. But by focusing on those two characters of Matt and Elektra in this episode, I really do think that they've done a great job of finalizing the show.
Definitely.
And closing it out. Having that big moment right at the end as well of Elektra is going to be coming back. She is the Kal-El of the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
she is Superman. She's wrapped in her her red cape, about to be sent off to Krypton or coming back alive, one or the other.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, but really, really like that moment. It was teased quite a lot that we were eventually going to see the team up of Punisher, Elektra and Daredevil versus the Hand. Really glad we actually didn't get that because it still doesn't make sense with the character of Frank Castle to actually walk into a battle side by side with the two of them, as we saw in the little GIF trailer or the little short trailer. I liked the idea that he just stood back and helped taking them out by using his sniper rifle. Really good idea to have that as being the kind of team up in there. Overall, loved it. A nice end for Stick as he walks off to go and take out the rest of the Hand with his sword. Karen has a nice end. Obviously, Foggy is now going to be working off with Hogarth. Nice close out for him as well. So overall, definitely defend the episode. Chris, do you defend this episode?
What do you guys think?
No.
No, for what? Okay, so while Cold Day in Hell's Kitchen it was a glorified boss battle in a lot of ways. It was.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was. It was like.
But we all like boss
Yeah,
battles.
exactly. That's why I'm like.
We're all gamers. We love them.
Yeah, exactly. It was chock block and full of a lot of other things. And I think one of the biggest parts for me was the emotional connection between Elektra and Matt in that bookend scene, or that filler scene, not using filler in a bad way.
Right.
Okay. In that it filled the point of 2 action points. Mm-hmm. It telegraphed for me that she was like dead. She
definitely.
was dead.
Yes.
I was like, okay, because they're not going to have Matt leave and run off to Paris, which I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll figure it out. The closing of Foggy and Murdoch. Sorry, Foggy and Nelson and Murdoch. That did strike a chord with me. I wasn't too happy about that. But I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Especially with the Hogarth part. Karen working for the Bulletin just really annoys me. I can't, I'm sorry, writers for season 3, please just have her fired. Give her pink slipping on episode 1. It's not for a show about ninjas. I'm sorry, show about ninjas, I understand. But we need a bit more realism there in that part.
Do you think the voiceover at the end is her reading her 5 or 6 lines to the editor in his office, and then after that it goes?
Maybe
that would be amazing. That's the deleted scene.
There you go. That's the start of season 3. It's just her reading that again, and he goes, "I told you 2,000 words."
I thought you meant 2,000 letters.
but that the pressure of it gets too much, and she descends into drug abuse.
I do want to see that in season 3. I want to see.
I think that's a really important arc for Karen. Anyway,
yeah, no, but overall, look, I really do defend this episode. It was a nice end to a very up and down ninja filled season. There was some slow elements. There was always the cringy moments, but I mean, from a violence perspective, and yeah, no, I think I would have preferred a bit more battle in the boss battle.
Really?
I think that's probably one of the only bits.
It was kind of a Nobu came out and said, nobody else kills her but me kind of thing, and all the hands step away and you go, but there's hundreds of you.
I know,
everything's better with hundreds of
ninjas. Because they were just standing in a line.
Yeah.
And in my first watch, the first time I watched it, I fell asleep for a few minutes. The point I woke up was them fighting and just like the 5 ninjas standing behind them. And I was like, why are they just standing there?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what just happened? But yeah, anyway. So, overall, yes, I defend this episode.
Excellent.
I think it was an adequate, if not good to / great.
Yeah. Yeah,
closing.
I think we have mentioned on each of our podcasts about the finale episodes that it is difficult to do them. I think there's nothing
massively.
There's still nothing so far that's beaten Jessica Jones season 1, the finale episode.
That is
shocking, spectacular, really well put together, and for a show that I absolutely love to close out that well was awesome. Yeah. This didn't have that much of an impact. As much of an impact as the Jessica Jones finale did. I liked it. It worked well in the show, and I'm looking forward to the next season, or at least the next appearance of Daredevil from it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think that's it for our coverage of Daredevil episode 13.
Over.
We didn't get a huge amount of feedback in before this episode. The feedback that we did get this week, weirdly, after 13 episodes, is the things we got wrong. So our first big feedback came in from Doug Green, who mentioned the fact that I did, in fact, get it wrong. That Claire Temple has killed before. She's now actually a serial killer.
Yes.
No, she's killed 2 people. One is obviously the hand ninja who she threw out of the hospital window in episode 9.
He's dead already, though. So
yeah, they're all zombies. But in fact, she did kill someone much more violently in season 1 when she got kidnapped by the Russians in the taxi firm. When Daredevil saves her in the taxi firm, she kills one of the Russians. So thanks so much for pointing that out, Doug. One other thing we also got wrong in an argument, which I think I heavily edited to make it sound like you were more confident about your answers as well. But David Wang pointed out that your discussion about the FBI and the CIA and where they're based, whether it be Quantico or Langley, was completely incorrect. Unfortunately, we kind of gave it to John as being the winner on that one. Chris was actually right.
Yeah.
Yes. So thanks for pointing that one out, David. Is there anything else that we've gotten wrong that you can remember from the season? Because we got quite a lot of projections that we did over the course of the 13 episodes. We projected a lot of things to happen for characters that didn't happen. Time to own a couple of them.
I think I can't, off the top of my head at this moment in time, I actually can't recall. I think we got something wrong with regards to Reyes, obviously.
Yes.
We thought this was going to be some massive, huge, big bad.
Yes.
Was going to link in with registration, and it just didn't work out. Instead, she got riddled with bullets. And actually, that's the other thing. We don't know who that sniper is. That wasn't revealed here at all. So it's still, and I'm still hoping that's Bullseye.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's really cool because they can play with that a bit. They can either not do anything at all with it and just make it one of the men from the blacksmith's group, or they can play with it and use this as the blacksmith.
And
Bullseye.
And the other one was, I think I said that with Blake Tower, that he runs against Foggy as the DA. Yeah, that could have worked, given now Reyes is out of the picture. That maybe it's still something that could happen, just not in this season. He certainly survived the Punisher's retribution from what we know. Maybe he could come back, win the DA, and then get taken out again by the Punisher for his part in sort of getting him locked up. So that was one of the other things that I got wrong in one of my projections. But it could still happen.
Yeah, I think our projections on the blacksmith really stand out to me because I think we thought it was everybody in the show. We even said Karen, I think, at one point.
That would be amazing.
Is it anybody in the show? Oh, okay. Well, actually, we did get it right in the end, but probably more scattershot than we would have been if we'd focused on it. This guy who was the blacksmith, who we found out in episode 12, is a reasonably well-known actor. Seen him in other things before. There was no way he was only in it for one reason and that one episode. So we probably should have guessed that he was the blacksmith, but it was hidden a little.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's kind of like Murder, She Wrote. It was like, they always had that one guest in. He was kind of famous, and you're like, oh, he's the killer.
Yeah. Or basically all the CSI shows.
Yes.
And quickly, thoughts on season 2 as a whole, like just a quick thought. Like, Derek, what did you think overall? Like, better than season 1, same as season 1, different from season 1? What did you think?
For me, really, I loved that we got a much more super heroic version of Daredevil in this season. Get loads more of the comic book characters in here, and obviously having Nobu back, having the Hand, having Elektra, having Stick back. All of those elements in this season felt much bigger than last season. Last season seemed to be much more focused on Matt's struggle. One of the things I found kind of weird was how much of the Christianity element was pulled out of this season, considering how central it was to season 1. Didn't see him go to church other than for one funeral. He didn't go to confession at all. That seemed to be quite a central thing throughout season 1. That was such a part of his life. You didn't seem to see a huge amount of it in this season. So different, definitely, but bigger and much more comic book related for me. Very violent and very different from what we saw on Jessica Jones. So I really, really enjoyed the series overall, but it didn't feel exactly the same as season 1.
Yeah, actually, interesting thing you talked there about the whole Catholicism, the confessional, the church, and the priest as well, which we only saw, I think, once. But I mean, even when he was talking about Black Sky and he was saying this may all be mystic mumbo jumbo, he's explaining to Elektra that this might not even exist. I found weird coming from someone with such a deeply held religious belief. It seemed at odds with his own belief in God, that you couldn't have some other form of deity that would be recognized. So I found that slightly strange.
That's a very strong Catholic belief. Their belief is right, yours is wrong.
Yeah.
No, I know, and actually to the exclusion.
Sorry, Catholics.
But to the exclusion, I know, I understand the one true faith, that type of perception of that, well, there's nothing else exists other than that. But still, I felt that was strange. I mean, it was called out against him by the Punisher.
By Stick, wasn't it?
Sorry, by Stick,
Your whole belief system is based on a person coming back from dead.
So it's really, again, it was something I found interesting that was the view of Matt Murdock with regards to this Black Sky.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And overall in season 3, Chris?
Really quickly.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Season 2,
Yeah,
wow.
even better. Black Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is just literally hitting me. Didn't we have another Black Sky with the kid in the crate?
Yes, don't worry, we did speak about it.
Okay.
He wasn't actually Black Sky, was he?
He was a Black Sky.
He was a Black Sky.
So there's more than one Black Sky. Okay, Grant,
it's one of the things I mentioned last week's episode for the listeners. If you heard that episode, one of the things I did find a little bit weird was that there's suddenly this. Obviously, we didn't know what Black Sky was in season 1, but in season 2, we find out that there is a whole there's a whole religion based on the fact that she's going to lead the Hand as the Black Sky. But there are other Black Skies. They've created tons of weapons around the world. They did mention that a couple of times. So if there's 60 or 70 of them, is Elektra just a chosen Black Sky or
the head Black Sky?
How do they know out of all of the Black Skies that are around? So that didn't seem to fit. It wasn't explained as well as it could have been on the show.
But overall, Origin 2.0, very much. So first 13 episodes, we saw the origin of the Man in Black to become Daredevil, the Devil of Hell's Kitchen. Season 2, the next 13 episodes, we saw the Devil of Hell's Kitchen become Daredevil.
Yeah.
Where he literally he still upgraded his suit. He fighting style changed. His enemies were born or raised, depending on what it was. Everything's better with ninjas.
Absolutely.
So, but then also we got his billy clubs and the swinging and everything like that. Better. I don't. I think yes.
Right.
I think I'm happier. Again, more because it went more towards the comic book element,
right?
Which is always good. But it's hard to judge. Definitely no Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Come back to me when we in one of our following podcasts. We'll do. I'll rank them somehow. I need to think of through, but
in my head, it's not worse.
No,
it's different, and I'm glad that we got to see it in a series.
Yes,
I think that's kind of where I am.
Yeah, I think. I think I would have been happier just having to. Yeah, but it leaves a lot of too many open questions, and we have to get a season 3.
Of course,
absolutely. Yeah, of course. Well, I really, really enjoyed it. I actually don't think, other than I think maybe one episode, but even then, I think it was absolutely solid all the way through. I think so was season 1. I like them for different reasons. So I think it is more that season 2 was different, but I thought it was slightly more rounded, better rounded for every one of the main cast in the sense that, like, I thought they've just really handled Elektra, Daredevil, but then Karen and Foggy much better. And then you have the Punisher coming in. So, like, there's 5 big characters. Yeah. And of course, then, for me, standout was keeping Kingpin secret. And those 2 episodes where he's in and the reveal of him at the end of one of the episodes, like, to me, they were sort of the 3 best in a row. I think certainly the violence was amped up, definitely. I loved as well that Nobu came back as well. Like, for me, really great character. So, season 2 I thought was really good. I liked how Nelson and Karen both had a much clearer story and part to play in all of this. Still slightly divorced from Daredevil's world. Even Foggy, even though he knows. But I loved the consequences that occurred for this. I like the fact that they kind of destroyed those relationships there. I thought that was an interesting way to go. And because it made it sad that Nelson and Murdoch don't come back from the dead, that practice is gone. A really good season. I really, really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for Daredevil season 2, coverage of the 13 episodes of the show. We are going on a break, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. We will be going on a break. Our next official guaranteed podcasts for Defenders TV podcast is obviously going to be Luke Cage, coming out 30th of September. Just wanted to quickly mention to the listeners who may not have heard the other little things that we'll be doing throughout the summertime. We will be going on a break, so don't expect anything from us too quickly, but we do expect to be covering X-Men, the new X-Men film, Apocalypse, which none of us have actually seen just yet.
I know.
We will get there, but we have a bit of time to go and see it, which is good. We'll be covering that. We also want to cover the 1978 Doctor Strange pilot.
We will be covering.
We will be covering that.
Yes,
We're also going to be covering the Doctor Strange animated movie.
We will be covering,
because
we have to indoctrinate. We have to indoctrinate Chris.
Oh my god!
Into the mystical realm.
Everything.
It all leads to Doctor Strange, October 2016.
Yes.
If you're lucky enough to be in Europe, or November 2016 if you're in the US and Canada.
God help them when literally Spider-Man Homecoming comes out, because then I'm just going to...
Exactly.
Everything's going to Homecoming.
Your revenge.
Everything leads to Homecoming sounds so much better as well.
I think I might be waiting a long time for Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury movie.
That's gone. That's done. Sorry.
But hey, I have Captain America, the best movies in the Marvel Universe. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us, listeners. Great to have you on board. We did go a little bit over time, but hopefully you didn't mind us chatting about a bit more about this season of Daredevil.
Absolutely. And you can obviously pick this live stream and podcast up at defenderstvpodcast.com/iTunes or any other good podcast catcher.
Mm-hmm. And you can watch the video of it over on YouTube, which will be available right now. We'll have the audio of the podcast out later on in the week. On our normal channels, just go to the iTunes link that John gave, defenderstvpodcast.com/iTunes, or you can subscribe over on Android if you're not an Apple user, just by searching Defenders TV Podcast.
But more importantly, it's going to be edited, because Derek needs to edit it.
May not edit it, you never know. But I will probably be adding the music in there.
There you go.
So, thank you so much for joining us for this season. It's been great fun talking with you guys. Thanks so much for all the work that you guys do.
I'm not seeing them again for like months now. They're like they're kicking me away.
That's it. Yeah. But thank you guys so much for all the work you've done for the episodes. Thanks for your synopsis, John. Thanks for your insightful thought, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us, listeners. And one final thanks to our cat Charlie, who has been involved in pretty much every episode. He's made a noise.
No, it's not.
To Charlie.
To Charlie.
Apologies. One final thanks to him for keeping out of the room this episode.
You're pretty sure you wanted to see him just run behind my neck.
So we will lick. So we will definitely be back with Defenders TV podcast over the summer with the 3 films, and also then back for a prolonged period for Luke Cage from the 31st of September. 30th of September. Sorry. So again, thank you so much for listening as always, and watching, in fact, now. Thank you as always. It's been a pleasure. And we will speak with you next time.
But don't forget, we're still going to be around the group. We're going to be there. So keep talking with us there, posting cool things you see. I'm going to actually go back through some of my favorite kind of Marvel comic books over the kind of course of the summer, especially since Comixology are doing their version of Unlimited.
That is true.
I'm going to go back through a lot of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
And I might just start posting kind of, what do you guys think of this? We could do a reading group. Who knows? Come up with ideas. What do you want to see on that group? And we'll see what's doable.
So
we'll be taking holidays though.
Yeah, absolutely. But you just need to join us over on Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/Defenders TV Podcast. Just see everything that we post on there. We're definitely not going to be quiet on there. I need something to keep my hands occupied anyway. So I always post stuff on there, and as do the guys. So join us over there. Thanks so much for being here. Anything else you want to close out? What's the next thing you're going to do, John? What's the thing you've been missing that I haven't allowed you to do while we've been podcasting these last 40 episodes that you're going to do next?
Penny Dreadful.
There you go. I thought so. Chris,
Season 3,
Penny Dreadful.
Josh Hartnett.
Chris, what's your next thing that you've got to catch up on that you haven't been able to catch up
so
on?
Much games. My gaming backlog is horrible right now. It really
That's
is.
Always the way. That's always.
No, I know. I've got like 5, 6 that I still need to just like midway complete. So I'm like, I just need to kind of platinum them around at this point.
I am going to play Uncharted 4 all over again.
Excellent.
Fab.
Excellent. And for me, it's comics. I'm just missing out on my comic books. Haven't read much in a long time. The new Captain America, Steve Rogers, #1.
We didn't talk about.
Not going to spoil it at all.
It's been spoiled already.
You've got to actually read the issue. There is a line at the end that may have been spoiled, but the issue is really, really interesting. That was awesome. DC Rebirth just came out this week as well. Shockingly good. Really shockingly good, as in it's great. Like, not a shock that it's good.
I'm taking the first part.
Well,
it's like, shock. It's a good.
So I'm really looking forward to getting back onto the comics. As Chris mentioned, if you want to join us over in the Facebook group, send me some suggestions on comic books to read. I'm really looking forward to catching up on some good stuff. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Watch Preacher and read
Preacher.
Yes,
Preacher as well.
Preacher's very good.
Preacher.
And send us your thoughts.
If it wasn't on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thank you again so much for listening. Bye.
So there you go.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
I can't edit that out.